I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, April the 26th, brought to you in part by Toromox by Norbrook. Use Toromox to treat and control gastrointestinal roundworms, lungworms, cattle grubs, mites, and lice. Plus, Toromox is proven to effectively protect cattle from reinfection. For more information, go to norbrook.com. The North stretches its premium over the Southern Plains through negotiation. Who would have thunk it? You guys know that I love negotiation. I can't understand why anybody would sell anything or buy anything without some negotiation going on in there, especially cattle. And auction is a negotiation. You just have the auctioneer that's doing the speaking for you or carrying it out. But the Southern Plains established their market, and they puked their cattle on Wednesday evening after the board had been down hard. They had tried to stir up some old black swans that were already dead, just like the black birds that were dead in the dairies, and they sold their cattle at steady money. The Northern Plains did not sell a hoof until mid-morning, around midday there on Thursday. They held out for more money and they got it. Mostly $1 higher, more than that in spots. And you have to fight for market position every day, guys, if you're negotiating. Now, I know there's a lot of guys in the Southern Plains that are still going to sell their cattle $1, $2, $3, maybe more dollars over the market. But the few guys that are negotiating and selling, I hate to give them a hard time. They're the ones that set the price for everybody else, and it seems like everybody is really happy with that. But the Northern Plains, it was just, like late in the morning, we saw bids of 183. Then it was 184, then 185, then 186. And we ended up getting some cattle sold after the deadline to turn the information in. And it didn't get reported, but we had a little bit of 187 out there. You have to negotiate to get these cattle moved, guys, and it was about the same way on the dress price too. Our market is strong. I was talking with some guys that I work with there on Thursday, and we're thinking, man, some of these prices we're seeing on feeder cattle and grazers especially are probably as high as we've ever seen. And I know we had 2014, and I think we've pretty much eclipsed all of those sometime or another. And then I know, we were getting awful high last fall, and then it kind of tailed off a little bit towards the end of the year last year, but then we've been coming on strong. But like we were talking about, the string of cattle that sold in Bassett on Wednesday that weighed 715 pounds at 305.75, I don't remember any cattle higher than that, especially in the 7 weights. I mean, you can look at it what you want. You can call 3 weights higher than that, or 1,000-pound steers higher than that. But as far as 7 weight steers, I don't remember any higher than that. And I think we're there at a lot of different classes of cattle. We're selling slaughter cows and bulls higher than we've ever sold them ever. And there's a lot of cattle. We are not selling our fats as high as we've ever sold them. Now, we were getting close there, up in the higher 180s, but it seems like every time we get up there pushing that 190, then they'll back off again. But we're setting pretty, guys. But even though the market's really good, it may be hard to achieve that if you wait too much longer, especially on feeder cattle. But things are kind of winding down. We're seeing lighter receipts. Now we've got a few weeks here of graze out cattle are going to be coming off of the wheat, and so that'll just stir some interest. Those cattle are green. The feedlots will want those. They'll want to fill up whatever space they've got with those green cattle, and then they're just going to pretty much set on those cattle until we start seeing some of those double stocked yearlings coming off the major grazing areas and coming off grass. So they're not going to get too excited about trying to fill that in what few empty spaces they have in the feedlots with background and in a lot type yearlings, unless they just absolutely have to. They probably will more likely turn to the southeast, where they've got cattle that have been green backgrounded on ryegrass and things like that, and they may have ticket year on them, but it's not going to bother them feeding them through the summer. So we'll start to see that. But one opportunity to buy some of those graze out wheat cattle is coming up pretty quick. It's going to be the Western Trail Sale. Now that is my friend Tucker Teague and Dwayne Mays, expert in cattle marketing there, and a really good guy too, that are working on this. And Tucker and them, they've got about 12,000 cattle coming off of graze out wheat there around Haskell, Texas. And they always come up with some type of a interesting way to market those cattle. This time it's the Western Trail Sale. They're sure going to bring 11,000 of them, and they're going to scatter them out in brick and mortar auction barns across the West. I think it's a great way to do it. It's spreading it around. They're paying commission to these different sale barns, keeping them viable, bringing buyers that may not have always come to those sales there to look at those cattle and buy those cattle. That's going to start off May the 1st here, which is pretty darn quick. It's just next week, guys. I'm going to have 1,100 head in Cherokee, Oklahoma there with my buddy Jared Herman. On May the 2nd, I'm going to have 1,100 head of those, and they're northern origin cattle, guys. I mean, the quality is going to be outstanding. May the 2nd, I'm going to have 1,100 of them in Ogallala, Nebraska at the sale barn. Also on May the 2nd, another 1,100 in Pratt, Kansas at Winter Livestock in Pratt. Another deal on May the 2nd, going to have 800 of them at Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas. Then that'll be the end of the week, and then starting the week after, May the 7th, they'll have 800 head of them in North Platte, Nebraska at North Platte Stockyards. Then on May the 8th, they'll have 1,150 of them back in Cherokee, Oklahoma for the second week in a row. On May the 8th, also 500 head in El Reno, Oklahoma at OKC West, El Reno Livestock Market. Then on May the 9th, they'll have 1,300 in Ogallala, Nebraska, and have another 1,150 at Winter Livestock in Pratt, Kansas. That's not all of them. They've still got a couple thousand left, and they're going to be in loose hands. They will market those cattle before June the 10th, and Tucker said they will likely go to one of those auctions that he had sold through. So it's going to stir up a lot of attention, guys. You guys check them out and be there to bid on those cattle. Quality will be absolutely outstanding. Talk about your board. Let's see what the board did on Thursday. April live cattle futures were up $1.85 at 183.95. Kind of erased the negatives that we saw on Wednesday. So we had a great day on the board on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and then a down board on Wednesday, but we've erased that. June live cattle up $2.55 at 177.80. Your back months on live cattle up $1.45 to up $2.67. April feeder cattle up $1.77 at 244.87. May up $2.15 at 246.25. And your back months on feeder cattle up $1.65 to 2 1/4 higher. May corn was up 3/4 cent at 441 3/4. May beans up 1/4 cent is all at 11.63. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for May down 2 1/4 cent at 629 3/4. It's straw hat time, boys and girls. I know you hate it. I hate it too. But it's just the natural progression of things. And I know there's some guys in South Texas that never get rid of their straw hat. And I know there's some guys in the northern plains that never put a straw hat on. But at least don't wear your straw hat with a coat. And don't wear your felt hat with a short sleeve shirt. And if you do, don't let anybody take a picture of you. It's kind of like whenever you're driving a foreign vehicle or you're out on the town with an ugly girl. Don't let anybody capture that on film. And it's the same with the hats, guys. But I'm proud to be sponsored by American Hat Company in Bowie, Texas. And they keep me loaded with new hats all the time. And Stan, I tried those 4-inch brims and I just can't do it. I've got to have more shade than that. But luckily I had one left that you sent me from last year, and I'm going to be good with that. Let's talk about your fat cattle trade. Iowa, 6,800 on Thursday. That's all they've sold all week. 6,800. They waited till Thursday. They sold them from 183 to 186 with a weighted average price around 185 and a half. That's good. They gained ground there. Dress sells from 292 to 294. Nebraska sold 12,900 on Thursday, 13,500 for the week. Live sales in Nebraska from 183 to 186. Now their weighted average was around 184 and a half. Dress sales from 292 to 295. Kansas, like I said earlier, they established the market on Wednesday. They couldn't gain any ground. They sold another 2,100, 12,600 head for the week. It was 181 to 184, but it was mostly 182 on nearly everything that they sold. Texas sold another 300. They've sold 9,700 for the week, but pretty much 182 on everything. Box beef cutout values, your choice cuts, $296.92. That was up $1.18. Selects were down 76 cents at $289.66. Your slaughter up through the first 4 days of the week, pretty good. Getting aggressive again, guys. Don't tell me these packers aren't making a little money on this meat. 488,000 up through Thursday. It's 1,000 better than last week and just 11,000 less than the same week a year ago. Your actual slaughter information come in for the week ending April the 13th. Had your average dressed steer carcass weight at 922 pounds. That is 3 pounds heavier than the previous report and 28 pounds heavier than the same report a year ago. Wow. The beef and cold storage information come back, and these packers are tight. That's why they're having to slaughter these cattle here on prices that they're not real tickled with, and they're not able to get their cutouts high enough that they can make the bundle that they normally make. But beef in cold storage at the end of the first quarter was down 9.5% compared to last year. So something's got to give there, guys. Let's talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services. That's Dakota Moss and all of his agents in and around the edges of Oklahoma there. They are your LRP specialists, guys. And we've seen this week with some big advances in your back months on feeder cattle. You need to take a look at that. If you haven't locked your price in with an LRP, or you haven't hedged somewhere or another to protect yourself from this market falling out from these tree high prices we're at, you need to look at that, guys. And you're not obligated. Call one of these agents. You're bound to know one of them or know of them, and just ask them what it would cost, where you could lock your cattle in, and how all that works with the LRPs. Go to livestockriskservices.com. Talk about your feeder cattle. Your real-time index on DVAuction late today on Thursday sitting at 246.23. That was up 40 cents compared to the end of Wednesday's sales. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index come out at 245.15. It jumped way up there. I told you guys it would. It follows right after your real-time index. Now, for you guys that enjoy listening to the Feeder Flash and following my commentaries, especially if you're in northern Alabama or southern Tennessee or somewhere close, I'm going to be at the Lauderdale County Cattlemen's Field Day this Saturday. It's in Rogersville, Alabama. And like I said, I'm going to stay up in Tennessee and drive down. I've never been to Rogersville, Alabama. They tell me it's close to Muscle Shoals. I have been there, but it's in northern Alabama. But I talked to Brandon Thomas there, puts that deal on. He said, let people come. So you guys are invited to come. If they run out of food, we'll send out for pizza. But we'll have a good time there. It's going to be an educational ag field day there, guys. Lauderdale County Cattlemen's Field Day. Let's talk about your big sales on Thursday. Winter Livestock in Pratt, Kansas sold 4,400 head. The steers are $3 to $8 higher. Heifers are steady to $3 higher. One stick-out sale on some big steers or feeding steers there, 61 head, weighed 837, bring 258 and a quarter, and that's nothing to sneeze at. How about Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas sold 3,700 head. The steers there were $6 to $10 higher. The feeder heifers are $4 to $8 higher. Heifer calves are kind of uneven. Salina was your NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day. Had several weights of well-tested cattle there. How about 302 head of 5-weight steers, average 547 at 322.51. 249 head of 6-weight steers, average 646 at 287.11. 762 head of 8-weight steers in Salina, Kansas, average 244.72, and 536 head of 9 weights, average 944 at 227.42. Look at your heifers. 227 head of 4-weight heifer calves, average 460 at 319.42. 279 head of 5-weight heifers, average 539 with a weighted average price of $290.60. There was 192 head of 6-weight heifers in Salina. They averaged 646 at $255.90, and 204 head of the 7-weight heifers averaged 761 at $233.50. Give you some individual quotes from around. How about Bluegrass Stockyard South in Stanford, Kentucky? 165 steers in Kentucky through the ring, guys. Weighed 680 at 277 and a quarter. How about Mitchell Livestock Marketing in Mitchell, South Dakota? They sell the big near beers up there. 60 head of steers weighed 1098 or 1,100 pounds at 213. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday in your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, indeed come out of Farmers and Ranchers Livestock in Salina, Kansas. It was 63 steers, weighed 844, bring 258.75. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.